Welcome to the Cornbread and Kool-Aid podcast. My name is Demetrius. We acknowledge, as always, the super producer extraordinaire, Mr. Mike Ward. We are coming to you week 10 of the 2023 NFL season. Lions in California, in SoFi Stadium, taking on the LA Chargers, and they come away with a 41-38 win on a last-second field goal by Riley Patterson. So starting right off the top, we're playing injured today. Not at my best. We're gonna hope the voice gets us through it. We got tea today, and it's in a Lions mug, whether you can tell or not. So there will be tea involved. But the Lions win a shootout against the Chargers. There's a lot to talk about. There's good, there's bad. One of the things that we have to notice is, and again, excuse the voice, it is not good today. If you're going to win 14 games, and I contend the Lions are going to win 14 games, they're not all going to be pretty. They're not all going to be double digits. I think that you find ways to win, right? There's a lot of ways to win. And good teams that win 14 games, sometimes your rookie running back blows up. Sometimes it's all offense, and today should have been a 50 burger. I told my brother earlier, I feel like they left points out there. Today should have been 50 points. And there's stuff to clean up. And I think that when you look at their 7 wins, they had 5 double-digit wins that even though they won them by double digits, we were never comfortable. There was always a bit of like, man, Tampa and Carolina was probably a blowout. But Atlanta, it's like stomp these guys out. Even Green Bay, but you knew they were the better team. Today, first of all, the Chargers are a good team. I don't want to lose sight of that. But the Lions still didn't play their best, right? Today was like a B+, A- type game. I don't even know if it was that, because the Chargers scored on all 5 second-half possessions. That ain't good. That is not good, right? But they've got 5 double-digit wins, like decisive wins. They got a overtime loss, a last-second win, a one-pointer at the World Champs on the road to open it up. And I don't talk about Baltimore anymore. Baltimore is an outlier. I pretend it didn't happen. It's like Voldemort. We don't say that word anymore. So there's good stuff that happened today that I'm very excited about. There are bad things that happened today that need to be cleaned up. And I'm settling into this place of part of being a good team is winning games when you don't play your best. Credit my brother right off the top. Jahmyr Gibbs is a beast. So all you fools, I don't call people names like that. All you people, I heard a guy call the radio station week 4 and said Jahmyr Gibbs was a bust. I've heard guys say we should have kept Jamal Williams. I'm done. Okay, we can be done with all of that, right? We got to be done with all of that. I don't want to hear the name Jamal Williams again. I don't want to hear DeAndre Swift anymore. Good luck to him in Philly. We'll deal with that when we deal with that, right? But I'm done with the talk. Jahmyr Gibbs, I don't even want to hear about Bijan Robinson. Yep, I'm ready to say Jahmyr Gibbs was the right back to take. It was smart to move from 6 to 12, take Jahmyr Gibbs, get the picks that ended up being, I think, Brian Branch and Sam Laporta, right? That was brilliant. Don't question Brad Holmes. I am not here for that. You can never come for Brad Holmes. I won't hear it. So today, because we don't have the voice, quite frankly, I'm going to get into it. I'm going to talk about some players, probably all offense. And then we're going to hit 3 Twitter questions. If you can like us, if you can repost, if you can give us hearts or thumbs up, we take all of it. It's all good. Helps the podcast, and I appreciate it. So coming into the day, like when I woke up this morning, I said, is there such a thing as bye-week rust? Are we worried about them being rusty? Coming back, will they be sharp? Well, offensively, they had a 3-and-out on defense, first possession, and then they went right down the field, right? The Montgomery, Jonah Jackson, and Frank Ragnow were all back. So I thought, I think the offense is going to be sharp. And they were. You saw a little rust. I think their first quarter mistakes, the penalty on Decker, which at the risk of offending somebody was bullshit. He didn't even touch the guy, right? He missed him. So I guess you can call a penalty on attempted illegal block, maybe, but he never touched the guy. So I think that was a bad call by the refs. But I don't really do that. But my feeling early was we just left 11 points because that possession that ended inside the 5 on downs, as much as it's blasphemous to ever say anything bad about Ben Johnson, and they scored 41 points. So I'm not going to criticize the OC when we score 41 points. But I didn't like the play calls down there. We have, quiet as it's kept, we have an issue in the red zone. We got to figure it out. We have an issue in the red zone. And I don't mind field goals when our coach will kick them. But we have a red zone issue. And I think it's under the radar because we're winning. And against good teams, it's going to bite us. So we need to figure out how to get the ball in the end zone, in the red zone. Again, sorry about the voice. I don't know how much I'm going to make, but we'll try it. So there is a red zone problem, and that's on Ben Johnson. And I love Ben Johnson as much as everybody else. I give Goff a lot more credit than most people. Ben Johnson is part of a process that's really good, but tight ends in the red zone is a suggestion that just came across from my brother. I don't disagree. I think I see creativity from other teams in the red zone. Now, my guess is the idea in the mind of both Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell is we have the best offensive line in the league. We should be able to run between the tackles and get 3 yards. And in general, we do. When David Montgomery's been healthy, we have. I believe that is the idea behind David Montgomery. Today, in that one possession, it just didn't work out, though, which is fine. But I think we left like 11 points on the board in the first quarter, and I was immediately concerned, like, if this becomes a shootout, are we gonna get bitten by those 11 points that we left out there? And there's a case that could be made that we did, but at the end of the day, I don't ever apologize for a win. It doesn't matter. That block penalty was stupid. I think I noticed that once the Chargers went up tempo, we started to struggle. So there's another thing when you're scouting, whether you're doing it legally or no, I'm not doing that. When you're scouting the Lions and it's legal in the league to look at tape, that was too easy. Other teams are going to see that, right? They're going to see that, hey, San Diego. I knew I was going to do that. Dang it. When the Chargers went up tempo, the Lions had problems, right? It was a very good offensive win. I agree. The defense, I think, struggled. They went 3 and out early. They were playing well. And then the Chargers have good coaches and good players. Keenan Allen's a beast. Justin Herbert's a really good quarterback. They went up tempo, and we never recovered. I think they scored on their last 5 possessions, if I'm not mistaken, and touchdowns on their last 5 possessions. Plus, I think they got a field goal in there. That is something that other teams are going to see, and they're going to think about, and they're going to try. So when Dan Campbell talks about, oh, we got some things to clean up, AG's got work to do on when teams go up tempo and you can't switch personnel in and out like you want. There was communication issues. I saw Cam Sutton talking to Tracy Walker like just before the snap. And if you want to find a reason to pick on Cam Sutton, I guess today's game could be, he didn't have a bad game, but this is the worst game as a Lion, which just means he's been great all year. So yeah, okay. So my brother brought up another point that I want to mention. How do we get pressure, right? If you can't get pressure with your 4, which every guy who was screaming at the trade deadline, go get Sweat, go get Chase Young, go get somebody, is going to come out of the woodworks tomorrow. Those guys are going to call the radio station and say, similar to what my brother's saying, which is right, we didn't get any pass rush. I think we were kind of getting pass rush, but they went up tempo and Herbert was getting rid of the ball. So I think sometimes you're getting pressure without getting sacks. Sometimes it doesn't look like you're getting pressure, and you are. I believe I agree with them though in that whatever it takes. If you got to start blitzing more, blitz corners. I don't care. You have to find a way to not let quarterbacks get comfortable because Justin Herbert's very good. And the truth is, I don't even know if that's it. We're not going to play another good quarterback all year. That's just true. I'm not trying to disparage anyone. And for the Dak Prescott lovers, okay, the Dallas game will be there. It'll happen when it happens. And outside of Dak, I don't know. I don't know if Derek Carr will be healthy. I don't think the Bears are a good enough team. So even if Justin Fields is playing and he's good, I don't know that it matters. You can love Josh Dobbs all you want. There's a reason he was where he was doing what he was doing. So Herbert might be the best quarterback left on the schedule. And he looked like it. At times he looked like it. So Kenny's right. We got to get pressure. We got to find ways. If it takes blitzing, it takes blitzing. I don't care. We got to find a way to get pressure on the quarterbacks. And rhythm is very important. Totally agree. Coming off the bye, I was worried about rust. I really was. So they got to find a way to get pressure on quarterbacks. And I think they will. I think AG knows that. I think they'll talk about that. I think the defense started okay, but once Herbert got hot and they went up tempo, it was ugly. And I think some of that was scheme. Up tempo was scheme. Some of that was I don't always get worried when another team can move the ball offensively. What I get worried about is when I see guys wide open. Wide open concerns me. Wide open screams somebody didn't know where he was supposed to be. It's communication. It is what are we doing? Who's doing what? When they're linked up, that defense can be nice. Too many plays happened today where the words busted coverage came into my mind. So I think that today is another one of those, it's not just a good win. And a couple of people say that's a good win, right? And I said it's a great win. And one of my friends said, why is it a great win? And I said, because we didn't play that well. We actually didn't play our best. When you can go on the road, beat a good team in their place, although the crowd looked about 50-50. But when you can go on the road and get a road win against a good team and you don't even play perfectly well, now you can make a case that that was our best offensive game of the season. And I wouldn't argue with you. But as a whole, like Carolina, we played pretty complete. Outside of Carolina, though, it has been one side or the other. And there was too much we could clean up there. Those PI calls were brutal. They were legit. And I love Cam Sutton. Those were brutal. That there were penalties that were killing us. And there was a stretch in the third quarter, one possession where I think the Chargers ended up running like 5 plays that were either third or fourth down, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 12, and we bailed them out. One play, get off the field, might change the whole game. And we bailed them out. And then the refs bailed them out with a penalty. But there's a lot to clean up. And it's a great win when you play a A- B+ game on the road against a good team and you get a win. Because how many points you won by doesn't matter. The Baltimore loss doesn't count any more than the Seattle loss. It's just the same 2 losses. I don't really care. I am happy that I've seen in 2 weeks the team I thought I saw before Baltimore and not the team I saw in Baltimore. So I thought all in all, it's a great win because you got the win. You still have stuff you can work on. They can't go back, sit down and be happy. Plus, you don't get that luxury because you got 2 games in 4 days. And I will give you a dissertation if you want on how much better I think the Lions are than both of those teams. But there's a thing on Twitter that I follow, right? And it's I'm going to use some language for the kids in the room. Get out. It's called "fuck around and find out," right? And the concept is, okay, you want to try and reach into a pit and grab a piece of meat out, and next thing you know, your whole arm's on fire, or you're going to try and skateboard down a rail. Next thing you know, your ass is in the hospital. You don't have the luxury of sleeping on anybody. Not in this league, not today. Don't prepare properly, and the Bears will come in and you will find out. I don't believe that's the case. I don't believe in either one of these teams. I think the Bears and the Packers are both about to get what my brother would call a Joe Jackson. But I don't want to offend anybody or get sued, so I'm not even going to go for that. That's a Kenny thing. So Bears and Packers settle in at 9-2, and then you go to, I think, the Saints. And for me, it's just about where's the loss. I'm still looking for the loss. I guess We'll see about Dallas when we get there. I guess there are people who believe in the Vikings. I don't know. This team can beat you in a lot of different ways, and they never make it easy. It'll never be easy. Baltimore was the only one. We're not going to see another Baltimore. I just don't believe that. So I want to talk a little bit about some players because a couple things. One, this offensive line is so good. When the offensive line is healthy, we are tough. We are just tough to handle. And I use the we. I don't care what people think about that. When the offensive line is healthy, the Lions can do everything. They can run. And when they can run, Goff can play action. Jared Goff's the best play action quarterback in the NFL. The numbers support it. I looked it up the other day. You can go check it out. Pro Football Focus has a stat. Other places probably have it. Completion percentage in play action, air yards in play action, yards per catch, all these advanced statistics around play action. And Jared Goff's the best play action quarterback in the National Football League. That's why Montgomery's so important. That's why Gibbs breakout. And I think we're all at a place now where we agree that Jahmyr Gibbs is a superstar, right? I don't think we have to have that debate anymore. He can do things, and he and Montgomery together make us potent. I mean, I talked about the offensive line being elite. It's not easy to rush for 200 yards in an NFL game as a team. And Goff lost a couple, and I think St. Brown might have had 10 on a reverse. That's two running backs. That's Gibbs and Montgomery. 116 for Montgomery, 78 or so for Gibbs. When you can run for 200 yards on the road, your offensive line is probably elite. And it wasn't even that many touches. There was a whole lot of conversation about what do you do now that Gibbs is broken out? Who gets the carries? I love what happened today. Montgomery had 12, Gibbs had 14. Perfect. If you have 8 more carries, I'm fine if it's 16 and 16, whatever it is. Perfect. It was so perfect today in terms of balance of carries. And then Gibbs had some receiving touches that are always going to be there because that's who he is. Laporta just makes catches, makes tough catches, makes important catches. And I think that Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'm trying to figure out what to do there. I feel like because of guys like Jefferson and somebody who was on my mind, Tyreek and others, Amon-Ra St. Brown's a really good receiver. And exactly. So my brothers are on. They're helping me with this, giving me notes, stuff I forget. This is what happens when you try and freestyle, right? DPJ is going to add a dimension. JMO is still yet to add that dimension. And Amon-Ra just goes out and without blinking drops 8 for 156 and a touchdown. And he makes it look easy. St. Brown always looks open to me. He looks like he's always open to me. He runs every route on the tree. So if you think he's just some underneath guy, okay, keep doing that. Let us drop JMO and DPJ on either side and occupy your safeties. It's going to be a nightmare. That's what I keep saying. We haven't played our best ball. I don't think we played our best ball yet. And that's what's exciting to me. Because when St. Brown just routinely will go on the road, drop 8, 156 and a touchdown. And I think that's 5 games in a row over 100. That's not easy to do. Everybody doesn't do it. Amon-Ra St. Brown's special. He is. He's special. Again, have to apologize, trying to protect the voice and get through this. But and then as much as people don't like it, yeah, I'm going to do Jared Goff. I'm going to talk about Goff. Here's the reality. He just 23 of 33, 333 and 2 touchdowns in an NFL game on the road. It's not just easy. You don't just go do that, right? Jared Goff is playing really good football. And I know it's not popular, right? There are guys who want to see Hendon Hooker and I remember, and I'm not doing revisionist history. I don't do that. All my podcasts are in archives. YouTube, Facebook, you can go in the archives. 2 days after the trade, Mike and I did a podcast. You go back and watch it. And I said, and I'm not doing, look at me, I'm right. No, that's exactly what I'm doing. Look at me, I'm right. I said at the time of the trade, this is a good trade. These are great picks. But the key to this whole thing might be Jared Goff. If Jared Goff is a Super Bowl Jared Goff, this is a great trade for us. We win this trade. If 3 years from now Jared Goff's our quarterback, we won this trade. And I said that. I said that 2.5 years ago. It's on wax. You can go look it up. It's late January, I believe, of 21. So he exactly. He's not flashy, and some of his balls look like ducks. I don't care. When I look at 23 of 33, I remember 2 drops. I see 333 and 2 touchdowns and another win. By the way, O-line 200 gave up allowed 200 yards rushing and no sacks. The offensive line as a unit is elite, right? But Goff executes the. Ben Johnson will get all the credit. Everybody, oh, Ben Johnson. I'm a Jared Goff guy, and even 2 years ago on draft, April of 22, year and a half ago, when guys are calling the radio station saying, take Malik Willis with the second pick. Take Malik Willis at 31. Malik Willis? And on that podcast, I said, they're not drafting Malik Willis because they don't need to draft a quarterback. Why? Because they already have a quarterback. And then this year, 10 weeks ago, on the preseason pod, all this is in the archives. I said flat out, you need to wrap your mind around the fact that some point in this winter, Brad Holmes is going to call some dude that represents Jared Goff. He's going to give him a piece of paper. It's going to say 3 years, $140 million, because we have him under contract next year, I think. Jared Goff's your quarterback for the next 4 years, but there's still people who, whenever I get on this podcast and I talk about how very, very good Jared Goff is, if I have the audacity to say he's one of the best 7 quarterbacks in the league, one of the best 5. My brother just said he's the best quarterback in the league. Right? If I have the audacity to say he's top 5, I get guys writing me. And I have never disrespected Patrick Mahomes. I never will. I like Joe Burrow a lot. I like Jalen Hurts. I like Josh Allen. I do. After that, if I'm missing somebody, y'all tell me. I might be. I know Kenny or Bear tell me. If I'm missing somebody, tell me. But if I give you Mahomes and I give you Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow, who's the dude I'm missing that you can say is definitely better than a 29-year-old Jared Goff? Because I'll wait for it. Because I don't know who that guy is, right? I don't think that guy is Dak Prescott. After today, and probably before today, I don't think it's Justin Herbert. I think that guy's good. There are times where Jared Goff just looks like he owns the field. He knows everywhere or everyone. He had a throw to Amon-Ra today where he manipulated the safety with a look. Gave the safety a look to the right. Safety planted his feet. Amon-Ra went right past him. Goff lied. He threw the touchdown to Brock Wright. The one to Brock Wright was such a finesse throw, a perfectly thrown ball that, and he really hasn't even scratched the surface with J-Mo yet. I'm a Jared Goff guy. I have no problem with it, but I've always been. So am I doing a little bit of revisionist history? No. I'm telling you what I said 2.5 years ago, 2 days after the trade. I'm telling you what I said on draft day of 22 and what I said in the preseason this year. He's the best play action quarterback in the league. And when we can rush the ball for 200 yards and throw for another 333, that's what a 50 burger looks like. And a lot of teams, we're going to drop 40 on a couple more teams. We got the Bears twice. We got the Packers, the Broncos. I don't love the Saints. The defense needs to clean some stuff up. But this offense, when the O-line is healthy, when Montgomery's healthy, I'm still trying to find another loss, guys, on the schedule. And like I said, both my brothers are on. Please, somebody, Art, chime in. Somebody. Where's the other loss? I don't know who's going to beat the team that played today. I think we can go to Dallas December 30th. Is it, Kenny? I think we can go to Dallas December 30th. And if the point Kenny brought up earlier, we got to get pressure. We got to get pressure on quarterbacks, right? The Saints game in New Orleans doesn't scare me. Denver certainly doesn't scare me. In Detroit, I don't know. So the comment is the softest schedule. They don't control the schedule, right? They beat Kansas City in Kansas City. They went to Tampa, and we think Tampa might be a decent team. I don't know what to do about that, right? I can't control that the Bears suck. the Lions can't control that the Packers fell off a cliff. There are people who still believe in the Vikings. Now I don't. Now they definitely have the easiest schedule left. So, Mr. Reed, you're exactly right. I don't know. I've been preaching 14-3 and saying I would be comfortable if there was a fourth loss. But I watched that offense. And even every team they play isn't going to have the offense that the Chargers have, right? And if you take off Dallas, I don't know how any of those teams are going to be, unless we go lay a Baltimore, right? My theory has been for 3 weeks now, the Lions' opponent every single week, no matter where the game is, what time it is, the Lions' opponent every week is the Detroit Lions. And that's Dan Campbell's job. If they go out and they play a B+, A-, anything above that, somebody is on here who wants to play. Okay, Kenneth Reed. I don't really know Kenneth Reed, but he said they had the softest schedule. Now he says whenever they play a real team, they get trucked. They got trucked once in Baltimore. I guess you don't think Kansas City is a real team because they went to KC, first game of the year, and beat the Chiefs in Kansas City. So I'm probably going to ignore everything else you say because you don't want to talk in facts. You want to work in this fairy tale world where you want to take one game of their 9 and say that's who they are. You're going to ignore their 7 wins and their single overtime loss and say who they are is the team that lost in Baltimore. That's cool. You can do that. We'll let that be whatever that is. And whoever your team is, cool. And you know, I know my brother said the Chargers are a real team. They are. And winning games in the NFL on the road is not easy because that Raven team lost today, right? Cincinnati, who everybody was jumping on the bandwagon, lost to Houston, right? San Francisco lost a game a couple weeks ago. So this is the NFL. This idea that a real team, every team on the road is a real team. Tampa is not a bad team, and the Lions went down there and manhandled them. KC is the Super Bowl champs, arguably the best team in the AFC, and they went to KC and they beat them. I don't hear that real team bullshit. You can take that. You can take that somewhere else. That ain't flying here. So ultimately, with the offense healthy, when the offense is healthy, and especially the offensive line, with Gibbs and Montgomery, the 1-2 punch in the backfield, and the best play action quarterback in the league, and St. Brown, underrated as hell, Laporta playing at tight end, offensively, they're about to put up numbers. They're about to put up crazy numbers on a lot of people. And when I look at that admittedly soft schedule, I don't see a loss. I see Dallas being okay, but I don't see a loss. Yeah, I don't listen to or respond to nonsense. So we got somebody on wanting to play games. We're not doing that. So we're going to go to the Twitter now and try and get some real responses from real people who actually know football and know what the hell they're talking about and don't want to jump into somebody's podcast and try and get famous. So one of the things that we have to think about, though, is this is about the 1 seed. Because irrespective of what this jackass is putting in my comments, if they have the 1 seed, all those games get played in Detroit. We know how they are when they play at Ford Field. Hell, we know how they are on the road because outside of Baltimore, they have won all their road games as well. So one of the difficult things that I don't know is well known yet is how hard it is to play in that building. And it's going to be tough to beat the Lions in Detroit. And if they go through there and Philly's the team I'm concerned about. You've never heard me disrespect the Eagles. The Eagles are the real deal. If that game's in Detroit, I like our chances. And if we finish 14-3 because we rolled through our easy schedule and we finish up Minnesota and Chicago and these guys, if they are 14-3, that's probably a 1 seed. That means everybody's got to come to Detroit. We get a week off the rest, and everybody got to come to Detroit. Now, if we got to go to Philly for an NFC Championship game, that's a tough game. And I won't get on a podcast and say I know they're going to win because I actually respect the Eagles as a team, as an organization. I respect their quarterback. I respect their defense. Dallas is up and down, and we'll see on December 30th. I'll give you my thoughts on Dallas on December 30th. That's the smart thing to do. I don't know what Dallas is now. I don't know what Dallas will be then. Guys could get hurt. We'll talk about Dallas then. Right now, it's Chicago, it's Green Bay, it's New Orleans. That's what's in front of them. Chicago and Green Bay are 2 games in Detroit. It's going to be loud. I expect both of them to be double-digit wins. I see no reason why. And so the way they've won their games, they have demonstrated an ability to beat teams in multiple ways. They have blown teams out by double figures. They have beaten teams with defensive games where they've only given up 6 points. They went into Kansas City in a slugfest and won a tough game. They came from behind and almost beat Seattle. They manhandled the Packers at Lambeau. Today was a shootout. And what they said was, you keep punching, we'll keep punching back. You knock us down, we'll get up. Because the Chargers wouldn't quit. They kept coming back, and the Lions kept coming back. And so for people who don't watch them, and there are people who think they know, but they don't, but I, and most people I know, watch every play of every game. We know who they are. And they play who's ever in front of them. So whoever your team is, if you think, oh, my team had a tougher schedule, so my wins are more important, whatever, that's bullshit that's not landing here. So let's get some Twitters, right? First one, how do we approach the rest of the season? I think it's a different perspective. It's a 7-2 football team, and we used to have to worry about what other teams did. Who are they? Have to watch the scores. Who are they playing? How are they doing? And there are guys right now getting all happy about Joshua Dobbs. What is Minnesota doing? The perspective is different now. It doesn't matter. Historically, right now, we'd be talking draft, right? Some years we might be talking wild card and have to worry about this, that, or it's different this year. This year is strictly about the Lions. And I said it last week, and I said it this week, and I'll keep saying it. The opponent every week is the Detroit Lions. Play to your level because the talent's there. Brad Holmes has done and continues to do his job. When they're healthy, their offensive line is top 2 or 3 in the league. When they're healthy, I take their duo of running backs over any other running back duo. Mr. Reed or anybody else listening or watching, tell me a team that's got a better running back duo. Everybody healthy. If you want, I don't know who it is, right? Because Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, complete. They can do anything you want to do. And they can beat you in so many ways, right? If they're healthy, the defense will clean stuff up. The defense will figure it out. Doesn't matter. If they need to beat you by scoring 41 like they did today, they will. If they need to beat you by shutting you down and only letting you score 6 and beating you by double digits, that's fine. If they need to scrape out a 21-20 win against the Super Bowl champs, they will. Because this is what kneecaps is about. This is what he was talking about 2.5 years ago. I think there's some blowouts coming. Quite frankly, I think the next 2 games will not be that competitive. And the work again is in get out of your own head. Don't listen to jackasses like this dude here who thinks he knows Lions football and he clearly doesn't. This is a different thing. Other teams don't concern me. Other people commenting don't concern me. The Lions are just going to keep winning games. And I'm going to keep getting on this podcast talking about them winning games. They play their games, they'll win because they're better. They're better than everybody on their schedule. Everybody left on their schedule. And I'm including Dallas. The only reason I think that game's competitive is because it's in Dallas. That's it. But I don't know who Dallas is. I'm not putting Dallas down. I just don't know who Dallas is. I know exactly who the Lions are. Dallas played the Chargers and barely escaped also. Dallas got beat down by San Francisco a few weeks ago on a Sunday night game. Dallas is inconsistent is what they are. You take out Baltimore, our other 8 games are really, really consistent. That's what it is. So the next 2 weeks, I think is you got 2 games in 4 days. Go take care of business. Doesn't have to be flashy or special. Go on a business trip. Get those 2 wins at home. Take care of business, and don't worry about it. And let these people like this guy say what he's going to say, and it's cool. 2 games in 4 days is tough, but the other teams have 2 games in 4 days too. So do what you got to do. Get to 9-2, and I generally don't look ahead that much, but these 2 games should be wins. And then let's go to New Orleans, see where we are. I don't know who the Saints are yet. We might look at them. So what's next? Minnesota won their 5th straight today. Do the Vikings winning concern you? Nope. I might have touched this already. I wasn't worried about the Vikings when Kirk Cousins was healthy. I'm not prepared to build a shrine to Joshua Dobbs just yet. Sorry. If you are, fine. But the reality is they have 1 good win over San Francisco. I contend winning in Kansas City is a good win. I contend today's win was a good win. And the way they beat Tampa on the road, the way they beat the Raiders on Monday night were good wins, right? But Minnesota's other wins were Carolina, Chicago, Green Bay, Atlanta, and the Saints. And you might say, well, those are the teams you guys beat. Sure, that's true. I would say to you that they lost to the Chiefs, they lost to the Chargers, and they lost to Tampa. 3 teams we beat. At the end of the day, we'll get Minnesota. That situation will handle itself. I don't really need to worry about Minnesota because we get to play them twice in 3 weeks. So 3 of their losses came against teams the Lions beat. So if we're trying to do some how did you do against other team comparison, which I hate because where the games are played, who's healthy, there's too many variables. I don't really like to do that conversation. At the end of the day, we'll see them in 5-6 weeks, twice in 3 weeks. Lions stay healthy, go handle your business. We'll be there. We'll be there when Minnesota's ready. It's all good. I'm not worried about Minnesota at all. So not because I wasn't worried about them before. And I think the only reason people think we should worry about them is because what? Okay, 5 straight wins. See who they beat. That make you worry? If you love Joshua Dobbs, that's cool. I'm fine with that. Go ahead, knock yourself out. That's not me. That's not how I get down. So all right, give me another one. How do we look ahead to next year in the future without Ben Johnson? Okay, so I don't do that. That's not my thing. So that's for other people to do. First of all, and I'm going to say the disclaimer right up front. I love Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator. I think people fall for the banana in the tailpipe because all the jackasses on ESPN are going to get on and tell you tomorrow because the Lions scored 41 points. One of those lazy journalist people are going to say, oh, he's going to be a head coach next year. They don't know that. They don't know that. First of all, there's an assumption that if you're a good offensive coordinator, you are automatically going to be a good head coach. That's flawed. We all lived through Matt Patricia. I haven't forgotten that fucker. We know what that's like. They told us for years Matt Patricia's going to be a head coach, and this idiot comes in with a pencil in his ear, and we know what that looks like. So let's not assume that because Ben Johnson's a great offensive coordinator, which I think he is, and I'm very happy that he's our offensive coordinator. So there's no shade here. I don't think the jobs are the same. I think Dan Campbell is a really good head coach for a lot of reasons. One of them is about inspiring guys, holding them accountable, getting them ready, understanding this collective thing that Sheila's doing in the whole organization and permeating that through the players. I don't know that Ben Johnson can do that. I know Ben Johnson can hold that little sheet and he knows what to call and when to call it. I also know that Ben Johnson is Jared Goff. And the team that is looking for a coach next year is not going to have Jared Goff. I don't know who they're going to have. Maybe you can find somebody. I know that the jobs aren't the same. They've been telling us for 7 years that Eric Bieniemy was going to be a head coach. Then when he didn't get the job, they made up a bunch of shit. Oh, he must suck at interviewing. Oh, well, it's Andy Reid calling the plays. Oh, he doesn't get along with people. They don't know. And it's not shade at Ben, right? Not shade at Ben Johnson. I will say, till I'm blue in the face, I think he's a great offensive coordinator. I don't think, and I can give you a longer list. The one that still makes my stomach hurt is Matt Patricia, who everybody told us was a great offensive coordinator, who everybody told us was a great offensive mind. He went to MIT or some school like that, right? And he's got a pencil in his ear. So he's really smart. It didn't matter. I remember that. I launched this podcast during the Matt Patricia era. Go look in the archives. You will find historic rants of me yelling words that I wouldn't want people that love me to hear me yell about Matt Patricia. So let's not assume. And oh, by the way, there's only going to be 6 or 7 jobs. And there's a bunch of other good coaches out there. And there's other coordinators that the same jackass on ESPN is telling you that guy's going to be a head coach next year. Well, all of these guys, every offensive and defensive coordinator on every good team is good. Where are all these jobs? There's usually 6 or 7 jobs. Don't assume Ben Johnson's gone, for the record. That's all I'm saying. Now, not because he's not a good offensive coordinator. Don't assume the jobs are the same. Don't assume that. Some teams will want a defensive guy. And you can say, oh, wait, but most years you see 3 or 4 coordinators. Okay, Maybe he will. But you know what? Find another Ben Johnson. That's my answer. Why do we not assume Scotty Montgomery, the current running back coach, can't assume those duties? Why do we assume Mark Brunell can't assume those duties? Why do we assume that there won't be some other guy out there who can do it? The guy who got fired, whose job Ben Johnson took. Maybe the coach today, Brandon Staley, might be out of a job. Why do we assume? And it is an unnatural need to not give Jared Goff credit. So what we did was we crowned Ben Johnson. He's the greatest mind ever. All of this is just Ben Johnson and his ingenious play calling. I'm not mad at Ben Johnson. I'm saying pump the brakes on all this. We're definitely going to lose Ben Johnson, and oh my God, we're screwed. First of all, I'm still going to enjoy this season and rubbing the Lions' success in the face of jackasses like Mr. Reed, because I'm going to mention his ass a lot when we're in the playoffs. He didn't have the balls to tell us who his team was, but I'm going to mention it every game of the playoffs. They'll come on my podcast and comment and tell me my team sucks when they're 7-2 and clearly one of the best 3 or 4 teams in the league. Man the fuck up, tell me who your team is, and let's talk about it. Or get the fuck off my podcast. I don't really care. Here's the thing. Like, fuck that. One more. This dude done pissed me off. I shouldn't have let that happen. What's the biggest takeaway from the win today? Okay. So the biggest takeaway is kneecaps wasn't a joke. If you're still laughing about kneecaps, have fun with it. If you don't understand now what that man meant when he talked about kneecaps, if you didn't understand before, you should have figured it out today. When the man said we're biting kneecaps, he's saying we're just going to keep fighting. We're going to find a way. We might beat you with a 40 burger. We might beat you 21-20 in your place on a Thursday. We might beat you Monday night 26-14 when we don't even play that well. We might beat you when our quarterback throws a pick 6 and we still beat you. We might win the coin flip, beat you in overtime. We're going to find a way because we're never going to stop coming. We're just going to keep coming. We're just going to keep coming. And when you win 14 games, you're going to win them in different ways. And that's what's going to happen. This team's going to have minimum 14 wins. This team's going to win 14 games this year. And we'll be able to go through, and in the bye week, when we're the 1 seed and we don't have a game, I'll do a podcast that week and tell you all the different ways they won. Because sometimes you need to win in a shootout. Sometimes you just like, wait, they've gotten hot. We got to put up 40. That's what it takes. So you go put up 40. Sometimes a team is struggling and you can make them turn it over and you can win 21-20. And some announcer will say it's got an asterisk because their star tight end and their defensive lineman didn't play. Well, that ain't our fault. That is not our fault. And we don't give a damn. We're taking that win. The Kansas City win still counts, even though some people put an asterisk next to it. We don't care. We got 7 wins. It's a 7-2 football team. I contend they're a coin flip away from being an 8-1 football team. They've played 1 bad game all year. Don't ask me, a guy who works in statistics, who lives by data, to pick 1 game and say that's who they are and ignore 8 others. Because the Seattle loss wasn't that bad to me. It was a coin flip. Seattle was not stopping us. If we win that flip, we win that game. Now, by the same token, our defense wasn't doing anything either, right? Seattle loss didn't bother me that much. I think it was good. I think it was necessary, right? But if you're going to tell me this 7-2 team that has the best play action quarterback in the league, possibly the best offensive line in the league, 2 big time running backs. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't buy it. I know what I see. And if I didn't have the data, if I wasn't informed, my opinion wouldn't be so strong. But like probably everybody watching this or anybody who gives a damn, I've watched every play of every game. This team can beat you in so many ways. St. Brown just put up 156 and I'm acting like it's not a big deal because it's not. They rushed for 200 yards. It's not a big deal. That offensive line is that good and they didn't even play that well. And by the way, it could have been better. It should have been 50. It should have been 50. So this is new for us, right? There's been times where we were kind of good and we needed luck and we were hope and pray. There's none of that this year. The Lions are one of the best 3 teams in football. Maybe one of the best 2. Nobody, I don't care about the other side of the bracket because if we play Kansas City again, it'll be in the Super Bowl and your boy won't give a damn, right? If we got to play Buffalo, it'll be in the Super Bowl or Cincinnati or whoever it is. It'll be in the Super Bowl, and none of us will give a damn. Get there, take your shot. The Eagles are the team I give respect to, not because I have a couple friends that are Eagles fans. I respect the Eagles. I want a shot at them. I want the game in Detroit. But if we have to go to Philly, fine. Nobody else scares me. San Francisco has flaws. As much as a month ago, everybody said they were the greatest thing since sliced bread, they're beatable. They're eminently beatable. Dallas is beatable. Who else are we talking about? I don't know who else we could possibly be talking about. So I'm fine. I'm fine with where they are. I didn't make the schedule. I think there's nobody on the schedule that scares me. But mostly today, the Chargers never stopped the Lions. The Lions stopped themselves twice, maybe 3 times, and they still put up 41. They left 11, maybe 14 points out on the field, still put up 41. The best case is they actually hit a groove and start playing their best football, and they just roll. The worst case, they find a way to win, which is what they've been doing. And I think this is who they are, because they can beat you on the road. They'll definitely beat you at home. They can beat you by double digits. They'll kick a field goal at the end of the game. They'll take you to overtime. They can win however they need to. So the takeaway back to the question is, this team finds a way. This team will continue to find a way. And that's about Dan Campbell. That's about Sheila. Brad Holmes knows how to accumulate talent. I saw everybody play well. Laporta played well. Gibbs played well. I saw Jack Campbell making plays. I even saw Brian Branch out there. That's 4 rookies. Don't make me go back to second-year guys and third-year guys, because I can go down the list. Whether it's Sewell or Jonah Jackson or Amon-Ra St. Brown, we can just keep going and talk about how good has Aleem McNeil been playing this year. Rodrigo's playing fullback. This team is young. This team is talented, and they've got a coach and a mentality that represents the city. I'll just wrap up with this. I have never shied away from anybody watching, listening to the podcast, commenting. You should know, first of all, I got 2 brothers always watching. So they're going to correct you if they think you're wrong. And I have no problem. This podcast is fun for me. I'll shut this thing down and call you out. And so, Mr. Reed, if you ever come back on my podcast, A, have the balls to tell me who your team is. But more importantly, talk facts. Don't come with that bullshit. Because me and Kenny and Bear, we're not here for that. We're not here for that. Don't come with the bullshit. If you want to come to this spot, there's other podcasts you can go and say dumb shit like that. You can say it. But our football team is 7-2. We watch them beat teams in every way imaginable. We know what they are. We know how good they are. We know what this has never been like for us. So we're going to roll with this. The super producer is a Bears fan, and he knows how I feel. I love Mike. But y'all about to take one. Y'all about to take one Sunday. And then I got family in Wisconsin. They about to take one, and they know it. Everybody knows it. This is our year. Stay healthy. Play how you play. Be who you are. And it really is just find a way. Find a way. So this is, I think so. My brother just dropped something that makes me want to go another 20 minutes, right? It really does, but I don't got the voice for it. He's never seen the Lions this good, even with Barry and Calvin. And I joke around sometimes and I say my brother and I are different kinds of fans. I tell people I'm close to. They say, well, you're the biggest Lions fans I know. And I say, my brother's every bit the Lions fan I am. We feel it and display it differently. He has never been more right. I will go hyperbolic and say this is the best Lions team I've ever seen. I'm 54 years old. Kenny, Barry, y'all can chime in. This is the best Lions team I've ever seen. And I know people hate this. I still give in order. If you take why, and I'm way off. I don't care. It's my podcast. I can do what I want. If you take it and you cut it up like a pie chart percentage of why the Lions are where they are, right? If you do it by a percentage, me being me, because I believe that I will one day do an entire podcast about Brad Holmes. That's going to happen. It might happen this offseason. I believe the most important position in any organization is the GM. And I think we finally got that right. I think Brad Holmes is so good at his job we aren't even going to appreciate it until some years later. So if you ask me, that pie is cut probably 4 slices, right? Slightly biggest slice is Brad Holmes, just bigger than Sheila, because Sheila had to come in and do things differently than her dad and differently than her mom, and she did. We got to stop not giving this old lady credit. I posted something on Twitter. She had this picture where she looked like she was pissed, and I don't know if she was or not. And I just wrote, Sheila is a gangster. Somebody responded, why would you say that? And I said, because for my entire life, both her parents tried to do something that it took her 2 years to do. She figured it out and did it in 2 years. We are one day just going to have to accept that this lady knew what she was doing. Brad Holmes 1, Sheila 2, Dan Campbell, call him what you want, make kneecap jokes. These dudes play for him, man. They play their ass off for him. And then my 4th piece is going to Jared Goff, because I love giving credit to Lions quarterbacks and everybody else doesn't. And all he did was got thrown under the bus in LA by the Rams coach, who I dislike greatly. Came here, people talked crap about him, said he was a throw-in, and all he did was busted his ass. And now I say give that dude $140 million, make him my quarterback for the next 4 years, and let's go win 4 divisions. Let's get that Lombardi. It's time. I ain't afraid to talk about the Super Bowl. This is a really good team. So my voice is telling me that I'm done. And as much as I would like to keep talking about the Lions in the Super Bowl, I'm going to wrap it up. I appreciate you listening. Not Kenneth Reed. You can go to hell. Everybody else, cool. I appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the show. But if you do decide to go Kenneth Reed and you want to ambush my show and talk crap, just know what you're talking about. So when Jared Goff gets that money, when Sheila's holding that trophy in February, I'm going to be one happy dude, voice or no voice. But I appreciate you listening. If you liked it, you can hit some kind of button, a heart or a thumb or something, depending on how you're watching it. And let's do it again next week after we go bust up Mike's Bears. So have a good night. I appreciate everybody. We'll see you next week.